Okay, today I'm going to show you 2 ways to trim up half square triangles. I like to make them just slightly oversized so that you can trim them down and have perfect half square triangles. So one way to do this is to use your cutting mat. So this one needs to be 2.5 inches trimmed. So I will just go over here, I will look and find my 2.5 marking right here, and I will find my 2.5 marking on this side. Then I'm going to place my half square triangle so that it is just a little bit over the edges there and a little bit over on the edges on the side. And then I will just take a straight edge ruler and I will just line it up and trim along there, along all 4 sides. So then we'll just take this one, we'll line it up with the 2.5 inch marking, trim it. I'm going to twist this a little bit, line it up again with the 2.5 marking on this side. It's a little hard because you can't see on this one side exactly, so it's a little harder to be super precise, but it works. So we'll just trim off all 4 sides just like that, and that is one way that you can trim your half square triangles. So another way is I like to use a ruler. So I have this one that I really like, or you could just use whatever ruler you have. But you're just going to be doing the same thing, but you're going to take your ruler and you're going to find the 2.5 inch marking on this direction and this direction. And you're going to want to make sure that it's overlapping those lines right here and right here. And then you can trim this side and this side, and then you flip it. So I'm going to show you with this one, it's just a little smaller and easier to maneuver. So let's see, if I have it like this, my 2.5 inch markings are right here. So I have one right here, and then I have one right here. So I want to make sure that I can see a little bit of fabric past the edge of both of those 2 lines, and also along the outer corners. So I'm going to trim off those 2 outside pieces, just like that. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to flip it, those 2 edges that I just trimmed. Now I'm going to line them up exactly on the 2.5 inch markings. So just along here and along here, I'm going to line it up exactly, and then I'll trim the outside again. And then that will give us a perfect 2.5 inch square. Okay, so now for my favorite method of trimming half square triangles. This involves a specialty ruler. This is called Quilt in a Day. This is the 6.5 inch triangle square up ruler. And on here there are different markings that line up with the different sizes you might need. So we're doing a 2.5 inch half square triangle. So I'm going to take my 2.5 inch line right here. I'm going to line it up on the seam. So this one, you don't press your half square triangle open yet. So you'll just press that line right there on the seam, and then you trim the outside, and then it trims both sides at once. Okay, so then we'll take it over to we'll bring our ironing mat over and we'll press it open. And then we do have one other little step here because we have these little tails. So we'll just trim those little tails off, and then we will have our perfect 2.5 inch square here. So I prefer this method just because it is so much easier. There's not as much moving things around and making sure everything's lined up. You have one line that you line up with the seam, and then you just simply cut the outside corners off. And then you do have that extra step of trimming the tails. But I don't find that that's that big of a deal. So I just think it's much easier. So if you have that in the budget to get one of these, they're not too much. And if not, then go ahead and use another ruler. Anything that you have for other quilting will have the markings that you most likely will need, or your cutting mat will have markings as well. So those are the ways that I use to trim up half square triangles.